Hi everyone, this is Eric with VANDER USA, and today we'll be going over the step-by-step assembly of the VANDER M11. The VANDER M11 does include all of the basic tools that you need for the assembly. However, I definitely advise that you use power tools for efficiency. In this case, you'll need a 1 1/4 inch socket, a 17mm socket, and a 14mm socket. Now, before we begin, it's important to note that you should not tighten any bolts until the machine is completely upright. Now, we do recommend that you assemble this machine with 2 people. However, for the purposes of the assembly video, we will be doing it with 1 person. And because of that, we're starting with the back portion of the rack laying down. This is the bolt that we'll be using. We're gonna start with 1 washer. You're gonna slide it through. You're gonna add another washer, and you'll close it with a nut. Now, when installing the weight pegs, you'll need to start by assembling the first one, and then moving forward, you'll need to leave a spacing of 6 holes in between each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you'll install your next peg. Now, when assembling the rear portion of the machine, you'll need to make sure that the rear upright posts have no numbers listed on them. Now, to close up the assembly of the back wall, you'll need to install your storage for attachments, and it'll be in this location here. Now, when working on the front uprights of the machine, you'll want to make sure that the numbers are listed on the front. This will be the time to install the carriage. And for the anchor bolts on the upright post, you'll want to make sure that for the front and the back, the anchor bolt holes are on the outside of the machine. Now, when working on the bottom beam of the VANDER M11, you'll want to make sure that the spacing for the bottom brackets is as follows. You'll leave 1 hole from the backside to install this bracket. You'll install a small bracket flush to the front upright, and then you leave 2 holes for when installing the Smith column as such. pull-up bar is one of the heavier pieces on the machine, so we definitely encourage you to use 2 people when installing, but for the purposes of the video, we'll use 1 person. Easy as that. Now when working on the upper beam, you'll have 2 attachments on this one. You'll have this bracket, and then you'll have a column that's for the Smith bar. The column for the Smith bar, the alignment will be dictated based on the bolts at the bottom. However, the spacing for this upper bracket here, you'll need to make sure that you leave 1 hole for the bracket. Now when installing the cable attachment storage plate, this one you can install at a height of your preference. Now that we've completed the assembly of the entire frame, you're free to go ahead and tighten the entire machine. Next, we'll be installing the pegs for the Smith bar. What you'll do is you'll slide the peg through the large opening, and then you'll take your bolt and screw it in through the back. Next, we'll be installing the guide rods for the Smith machine. So first, we'll place the rod in its proper hole. We'll need 2 bumpers and a spotter arm. First, you'll install 1 bumper, then you'll install a spotter arm and the second bumper. Next, you'll need this sleeve. Once you have all 4 items in the guide rod, you'll be able to secure the rod from the top. Just like that. Okay, up next we'll be installing the Smith bar as follows. Now once you have it on the rack itself, now you'll take this sleeve here and you'll attach it to the bar like this. And your Smith bar is ready to go. Now when installing the pulley covers, you'll want to make sure that this lip here is sloped inwards. Next, we'll be installing the weight stacks on the machine. So first, you'll need to take your 2 rods and insert them into their corresponding holes. Then, you'll take your donuts and insert and drop them in. Once you have this setup ready, now you're ready to take a weight stack and you'll need to make sure that this plastic cap is facing upwards. When inserting the weight stacks onto the rods, you might want to have somebody hold it for you for safety reasons. Now, when you're midway through stacking up the weight stacks, you'll want to make sure that they're lined up, that there's no weight stacks sticking out, just so that when you're done adding the weight stacks, you don't have anything misaligned like towards the middle. Now that you're finished installing your weight stacks, now you're going to drop in your top hat. Now, before you use your Allen wrench to install these screws here at the top, you want to make sure that your weight stacks are aligned. These here are called leveling screws. So if you ever have a gap between the first plate and the second plate, you can just use your leveling screws to close that gap, to stop it from moving. So you're gonna have two large wheels on each side. Those wheels are gonna be used for this bracket right here, 1 and 2. You're gonna have one small wheel on each side, and that's gonna be used for the top hat. And finally, for the medium wheels, you'll use it for every other hole that requires a wheel, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, once you have all of your wheels installed, we're gonna go over the path that the cable will need to be ran through. So you're gonna take the tip of the cable and you're going to run it through these wheels, over this wheel, all the way across, over this wheel. Now it'll come down, go through the top hat, come back up, go through the bottom top wheel, run it across, over the other bottom top wheel, bring it down, and now it's going to go under this wheel here, in which it'll rise again, and you will bolt it down at the lower or second one, depending on how much tension you need. Now for the landmine, you do have the option to install it on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side. In this case, we're going to install it on the right-hand side. Now we're getting to install the back row foot plate onto the machine. We're gonna take the foot plate, push it into its insert. Once it's attached, you bring it to the machine. And it's done. Now we're going to complete the installation of the lap pull down seat. So first, you're going to take your cushion, turn it around, and flip the middle portion around as well. You're going to take your bolts and screw it in. Now that you have your seat ready, you'll bring it over to your machine. Now that our seat is attached, we're going to take our leg cushion and attach it as such. Now that we're ready to install our squat plate, You'll want to bring it over to your Smith bar. You'll want to note that there's two pinholes here that will be used to hold your actual squat plate. So you'll pull both tabs and release once they are inserted into the holes. Now the dip attachment can be placed at the height of your choice. However, for staging purposes, we will be placing it at this location here. You'll need this pin here, which will hold it up. You put it in like that. It'll come with a additional pin that you slide in its hole. Now, you'll see this pin is also used in a similar fashion for this attachment and this attachment. All right, everyone, and that concludes the assembly of the VANDER M11. It was a pleasure going through the assembly with you, and now it's your turn to put in the work.